Now, we've already talked about why people buy expensive brand name items, and we've already talked about maybe we buy expensive brand name items for the wrong reasons. But today we're going to talk about 2 more stories, and these stories show the dark side of what happens when we shop too much and start hiding our spending and our purchases from our significant other. Now, these 2 stories today aren't my personal stories, but they are stories that I do see a lot of similarities between me and the person who posted it. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of similarities between you and the person who posted it too. Now, I'll read the entire story out to you, and then we're going to break it down bit by bit and talk about each element of the story. So story number 1, this one's titled, I Keep Finding Ways to Hide Purchases from My Husband. Now, who else can resonate with that title? So this is a post from Reddit on the Shopping Addiction subreddit. I have struggled with impulse control and shopping addiction, mainly on clothes and makeup for the last 4 years or so, and have racked up a lot of debt. My husband is aware, but I still find ways to hide my shopping from him. We have talked about setting up a joint bank account, but for one reason or another, we never seem to get around to it. We do both work full-time, and I have a 1-year-old, so our days do fill up quick. I have such a hard time talking to my husband about wanting to buy something. It's just so much easier to buy it in the moment when I have the impulse. I know I can do better because I have gone months without buying unnecessary things. But I have found it's way more difficult to control that now because I have a baby and I constantly need to buy things for her. I want to feel like it isn't a constant daily battle with my impulses. I have made progress lately, like deleting social media apps that really trigger me, like Instagram and TikTok especially, but that's only gotten me so far. I just feel very discouraged right now. Now, who here can resonate or empathize with the poster of this story? Now, I don't have a child, so I can't resonate 100%, but there are definitely elements of this story that I feel I have similarities to. Now, there's a lot to unpack in this one post, so let's break it down. I have struggled with impulse control and shopping addiction, mainly on clothes and makeup for the last few years or so, and have racked up a lot of debt. Now, for the poster, their vices for shopping is makeup and clothing. Now, for me, it's handbags, clothing, home organization, and gifts. I know that sounds weird, but I buy a ridiculous amount of gifts, as in I buy gifts for a ridiculous amount of people because I have a really big family and we do birthdays and Christmas, and I'm just talking about the kids. Like, only the adults get a Christmas gift. They're not getting birthday gifts, but for the kids, they're all getting birthdays and Christmas, and then the adults are also getting Christmas. So I do a lot of gifts, and I know a lot of it is unnecessary. Like, they're not asking me to buy all these gifts. I myself have a problem with that. It's like I'm telling myself it's okay that I'm buying this because it's not for me, it's for a gift. So that's a self issue I have. But for home organization, clothes, handbags, I'm buying all of that for me. So I know that they are definitely my triggers. Now, racking up lots of debt. Now, I really feel for the poster when she says this because now I myself am not in debt, but I can empathize at how terrible debt must feel. And it's a twofold feeling too, because there would be the emotional side of either self-guilt or self-shame, knowing that you're stuck in a cycle and you keep repeating this habit and you feel guilty yourself. You don't even need anyone else external to you to feel guilty or to shame you. You'll do it to yourself. And then there's that boot on your neck, that financial debt boot on your neck. So you'd feel terrible, and then you'd feel like you're being choked by the debt financially as well. So I can definitely empathize with the poster here. Let me know in the comment section, number 1, have you ever gotten yourself into debt because of shopping? So I'm not talking about like a mortgage. I'm talking about shopping, like, you know, frivolous shopping, which is what a lot of us do because we're all luxury lovers, and these things we buy is, you know, frivolous. My husband is aware, but I still find ways to hide my shopping from him. We've talked about getting a joint bank account, but for one reason or another, we've never gotten around to it. We're both working full time and we have a 1-year-old, so our days fill up very quickly. Now, definitely having a joint bank account means there's transparency between the two of you as to where the money's going. Now, I know that there can be other accounts outside of the joint bank account, but if you're doing it for a purpose where you're like, okay, we have financial goals, or we are doing financial tracking, we are a family, our finances are blended, it at least provides transparency for the other person if you are using the family money. Maybe you arrange your finances where there's family money and then your own money. At least for the family money portion, you would at least have transparency as to how much is going in, how much is going out, and where that money is being spent. And I think that's really important as a family for financial trust and integrity, that there is transparency there. Now, hiding purchases from your significant other. This is something that I have heard people do, and this is a spectrum. It can range all the way from buying big ticket items and then literally when it comes, hiding it in a different room. Or the more mild version could be you're not hiding the item itself, but you're also not talking about when you make the purchase. So for example, you're not saying, oh, hey, look, I just bought a bag from Louis Vuitton. Or, I just went into Chanel today and bought a bag. Or I just hit buy now on my eBay or Fashion File pre-love purchase. But then when it comes, you're not actually hiding that. And, you're okay for your significant other to be present when the mailman comes or receive the mail for you, and you're wearing your item around your significant other. So I think hiding your items or hiding your purchases definitely falls on a spectrum. And I believe I've definitely fallen on the spectrum of not mentioning my purchases, but being okay when they arrive because it's already done and dusted. Let me know, are you on this spectrum, or are you completely open and transparent with all your purchases? You're like, hey, look, I just letting you know, I just spent $2,000 on a Louis Vuitton bag today, or I just spent $5,000 on my Chanel, here it is, or I just spent $800 on my pre-loved or vintage Louis Vuitton on eBay. Let me know where you are on the spectrum, full transparency or somewhere on the not mentioning all the way to hiding it. This is really interesting behavior that we may do. I have such a hard time talking to him about when I want to buy something. It's just so easy to buy it when I want it in the moment, when the impulse is there. This I can definitely resonate with. For myself, when I get an impulse, it builds up very rapidly and very strongly, almost like an all-consuming thought. For example, if it's a handbag I want, I start imagining it in my collection, imagining myself wearing it, imagining the outfits I'm going to pair it with. When it comes to a home organization product, I'm like, okay, this is where it's going to go in my house. This is its job. That's what it's going to hold. That's what it's going to organize. That spot in the house is going to look so much better and function so much better. When it comes to a gift, it'll be like, oh, this person would love that. That would work so well for them. They'd be so happy to get that. For me, once I see an item that I think I click with, I want it straight away. I want to buy it straight away. And that's why I started doing the list technique, where I'm trying to list things down and have them on a wish list, both items for myself and gifts for others. So I have to force myself to mull over it a bit more or see how I feel about it before I buy it. Now, has this list always worked for me since I started? No. I have went, no, look, this thing, I really like this home organizing product. I think it's really going to help this area improve, and I have bought home organizing products. I am on a appreciate what you have year, which is my way of saying a low buy year, by trying to tell myself to appreciate what I already have. And so I haven't bought any handbags, and I'm telling myself no clothes since Chinese New Year, because that was my last time I bought clothes. But I'm telling myself, calm down on certain areas. But let me tell you, the impulse is there. Now tell me, do you get impulse rises? Does it happen really quickly to you too? Or are you pretty chill and mellow and you don't need a list because you're not going to go crazy trying to hit buy now straight away? Let me know what your behavior is like. I know I can do better because I have gone for months without buying unnecessary items. But I have found it way more difficult now that I have a baby and I'm constantly buying things for her. I want to feel like this isn't a daily battle against my impulses anymore. Now, this happened to me when it was leading up to Christmas 2023, the holiday season shopping. So up until that point, I was doing pretty good with shopping, to be honest. So I did buy myself handbags for Christmas, but the impulses started before that. So it was November. I like to get my Christmas shopping done by November. And so I'm browsing around, getting everyone's gifts. And so the buying starts. I'm buying. And then all of a sudden, my threshold for spending goes up. And then I'm like, oh, maybe something for me too. And I ended up with 2 Louis Vuitton bags for myself for Christmas, which I didn't plan on doing. So once I got going with the shopping, I went for it. I bought gifts and gifts and gifts and gifts and gifts. And I was just drowning in gifts by the time it ended. And then once Christmas was over, the momentum in me was still going. I was going all the way into January when I went, no, something needs to be done. I need to calm down again and get myself back to where I was. So I can definitely empathize with the original poster that once she got going with buying the baby things, it just kept going from there. I have made some progress lately, like deleting social media apps that really trigger me, Instagram and TikTok in particular, but that's only gotten me so far. I just feel really discouraged right now. Now for me, for home organizing, TikToks are really bad. They make me want to buy every organizing product. For handbags, it's more so review videos or Instagram photos where people are featuring their bags. Not so much reels on handbags, but more so review videos on YouTube or just even plain photos. But yes, I would say the more temptations you remove, the better off you will be. I'm only on TikTok for handbag videos. I don't use it to browse, but people upload their TikToks onto Instagram and onto Facebook. So I end up seeing TikToks elsewhere other than the TikTok platform anyway. So definitely having temptations in your face all the time is going to make things harder for you. Now let me know if you've ever had to delete social media off your phone just to give yourself a break because things were going too far. Did you ever delete Instagram? Did you ever delete TikTok? Did you ever delete YouTube off your phone? Let me know what measures you've done. Now, the original poster is saying she feels quite discouraged at the moment, and definitely we can all feel very down. And that's how I was feeling at the end of December when I realized, no, I'm still shopping. Why am I still shopping? I need to do something about this. And at that time, it was getting me down. So that's why I decided to implement the list, the wish list, to try and help me come back out of it. So let me know your thoughts on story number 1. Do you find elements of yourself that's similar to the poster? Or are you like, wow, she needs help. She's got a big problem and she needs help. That's not normal. Let me know what your thoughts are. Now, I will be posting the links to these Reddits in the description box too if you want to read it for yourself. Now, story number 2. I've been hiding my purchases from my boyfriend who knows my spending habits are not healthy. What should I do? That's the title. Oh, now this sounds like we're going in a bad direction as well. So here's the story. Sometimes I tuck them away and hope he doesn't notice them so I don't have to acknowledge them and feel that pang of guilt. I hate doing this. It's like subconscious. Even when my spending habits are on the normal side of the spectrum, I feel like I need to hide it. There's a sense of embarrassment about it. I'm also very hard on myself for context. Okay, so this is another person that's also hiding their purchases. But they're saying that they're hiding it even when they're doing normal spending because they feel guilt. So this person seems to be shaming themselves because they said they're very hard on themselves. This is an internal guilt they're feeling. It's an internal friction they're feeling, an internal battle they're suffering through. And they're afraid that the people close to them, like their boyfriend, is going to judge them. Now for me, I'm already judging myself. So I already know when I'm taking things too far. So I already know when the comments are going to start coming like, how come there's a package coming every day? That's a comment that I've gotten before because at that time, there was a package coming every day. That's not good. Now, I would have to say when you are at the point when you're hiding your purchases, even when you feel as though your spending is quote unquote normal, then there's a deeper rooted issue for that person to discover for themselves as to why they're feeling that way and how and what steps they can take to move forward with themselves, because it seems as though there is something deeper here. It's not just when they think their spending is out of control. They always want to hide their purchases. Let me know if you've ever felt this way. Have you ever felt that you need to hide all of your purchases. Personally, for me, I haven't need to feel as though I need to hide all of my purchases. But when I'm doing my handbag purchases, sometimes if I've bought, particularly now that I've got so many, if I buy more, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't really mention when I hit the buy, but I just openly am transparent with it once it gets to me and I start wearing it. So I can definitely empathize with, you don't always feel great about your own purchases sometimes. Let me know how you feel about your purchases. Do you ever feel as though you're not 100% transparent with your significant other? This is really interesting how open people can become on Reddit about their problems, because it's strangers and it's because it's in the same community who share the same problem, and they feel as though they can have a listening ear and a safe space. And I think that's a great thing about us YouTube in the Luxe community too, is that we can have a safe space to actually discuss sometimes the negative parts of our love for handbags. Now, if you haven't already seen my entire handbag collection of 50 bags, I'm going to leave that video here for you to carry on with next.